This is a response video to evaluation question number 2, and I'm going to be talking about how we represented the different characters and different social groups in our media product. We found it a lot easier to represent our different characters and social groups in our film, and this was purely because of our genre. Our genre is obviously a horror or a thriller, and this kind of gave us an automatic advantage, as anybody that is a big fan of horror films or has seen quite a few horror films knows that there are a lot of stereotypical and cliche things that are always included in a horror film, or things that are really easily identified or recognised. We were happy about this because we could have this as a basis and start off with this, and keep in mind that there are a lot of things that we could link back to from different horror films, and something that we noticed from deconstructing and analysing some horror films is that there are always very cliche characters in horror films. So for example, in a horror film that includes a group of people or a group of teenagers, linking it to our product, there are usually always at least 4 characters that are very cliche and that all seem to have very contrasting personalities and characteristics. So there is usually a dumb blonde stereotypical character who is very self-centered, very confident, only really cares about what she looks like and what people think of her, and she never really wants to be seen as shy or scared, but actually always seems to be the character who is the most scared when it comes to the most interesting bits of the horror film. So for example, in our film, when people are testing out the trial of the supernatural Bloody Mary theory, she doesn't want anything to do with it, and she doesn't want to try anything out, but she doesn't want to show that she's scared, and doesn't until the end, but at the end always does become the character who is the most scared and is the most frightened of the things that are happening. Secondly, I always seem to pick out a very stereotypical character who I call the Joker character. This character for me is usually a male, and does have some aspects that are similar to the dumb blonde character's personality or characteristics. So they are kind of the person who jokes around, tries to lighten the atmosphere or make things really awkward between a character, and always seems to be very confident and up for anything, but never actually does do anything. They do seem to want to take lead, but never actually get around to doing it. They just seem to kind of get in the way or say things that make things worse. And I feel that this character always does seem to come up in horror films, and I feel like this is a character that we definitely needed to include in our product. Finally, I feel that there are at least 2 characters in the film that are usually either a couple or very close friends that are very down to earth and who are very genuine. These characters seem to be the main characters, or the 2 most common characters in the film, and these seem to be very fearless characters and seem to be the ones that always do outgo all of the most interesting things in the film, whether they end up either being killed or being affected by the things that they're doing. They always seem to be the most fearless and most interesting characters, but also very normal and very down to earth characters. So I felt like we definitely needed at least one of these characters in our product, as I feel that these are very, very important characters and seem to make the horror film what they are. So from researching into the different types of characters that usually come up in horror films, we kind of felt that as soon as we started writing our script and creating our characters, we had this in mind, and it was something that we had a basis of, as we knew that we wanted to include these types of characters, as we felt that this would help to present to our audience that our film is a horror film, and we felt that this could be a way of helping our audience to connect and identify some similarities to other horror films and possibly relate to some of the characters. Another way of presenting the different characters and social groups was a very implicit way, and we wanted to use implicit ways of presenting our characters and social groups, as we felt that this would be kind of something that if someone was to analyse our film, it would be something that they did pick up on, and this was the use of colour. So the use of colours was something that we did do a lot of research into, as using colour is a very implicit way of presenting something or a meaning. So we felt that this would be a very interesting way of showing or presenting a different type of character or social group, and we thought it would help with identifying and highlighting some of the different personalities and characteristics that the different characters have. We decided to use the use of colour to present different meanings through the characters' clothing. Obviously, as a character wears a colour, this links to their own personality or characteristic. So in the video of the mise-en-scène that we did of our film, my partner and I discussed what colours each character was going to wear and what that meant, but we did a lot of research into the different colours and what they meant, and it was very interesting to see, as I was talking about the different cliche characters and that there are usually two characters that are very genuine and down to earth. These two characters were the characters that had very similar colour clothing, and I feel like if someone was to analyse the film, they would pick up on that, and we felt that that was something that not everybody will know, but if someone is really looking and manages to notice something like that, it is a very kind of interesting way of linking some of the characters together. Something else that we thought about to present the different types of characters and social groups, we wanted to look into the different language that each character used. Now this is something that is quite tricky to actually plan, so our planning process of this did take a long time, and it was quite difficult to make sure that each character consistently kept up the same sort of language, but we wanted to use a different language as a way of showing this, as we felt that the different types of conversations that each character participated in, or the different tones of voice that each character used, would somehow link back to their characteristics or personality, as their way of speaking. And just in everyday life, the way that someone speaks to someone does generally show how someone is either feeling or what they are like as a person. We also were thinking that as we are teenagers ourselves, and being in teenage friendship groups, we know that there are different types of conversations that always seem to come up that do make some sort of atmosphere, and we kind of again had an advantage of this because we experience it every day. Now we thought of a scene that didn't actually make it into my personal final cut of the film, and it was a conversation between the whole cast, and it was kind of quite a jokey, almost sexual relationshipy conversation between the Joker character and the dumb blonde character, and they were talking about the other two genuine down-to-earth characters helping each other out. So for example, the character Emily in our film is one of the very down-to-earth, very genuine and very fearless characters. She is trying to turn on a torch, and she then calls Aaron, who is the other down-to-earth character, over to help her to fix it. Then after this conversation between these two characters, the Joker character called Jaden then is speaking to the dumb blonde character, who is called Abigail, goes over to Abby and says something along the lines of, it's not the only thing that she wants turning on. Now this is quite a, I don't know, it's quite a common teenagery comment to make. We just thought it would be quite a humorous scene to put in. It didn't make the final scene, but this was just an example of something that we had originally thought of in a way of a type of conversation that the characters could be speaking about just in their general sit down chatty time. As I previously said, we originally thought that this sort of comment would be something that a flirty comment could be made about two characters who are very similar in characteristics. It could be something that is very easily recognised and could be easily related to in this day and age, as it is something that is very commonly used and is kind of easily recognised in this day and age. All of the conversations prior to the main bit of the film opening, when Aaron is imprinted by the Bloody Mary supernatural thing when he goes to trial it, all of the conversations before that between the characters are either very jokey, quite flirty, or argumentative, and I feel that this is something that is very, very common in real life between teenagers. And it's something that is very easily relatable or very easily recognised between different people that have contrasting personalities or characteristics. We feel that we see it every day, so it's something, as we are in that age range, it's something that we are very used to. And I feel that as our target audience is of 15, it's something that our viewers would most likely relate to as well, and possibly find quite humorous, or, like I said, be able to relate to.